Thanks for tuning. This one is an experiment on my side. I never did a live so far, and actually, I'm trying to see and explore if it's easier than edit a full video. Obviously, I take the risk because I can't edit, or at least I'm not 100% sure I edit later. One of the reason why I wanted to do an update is because it's really difficult to maintain a YouTube channel on cybersecurity. There are specialized outlets that right now are having a lot of AI and actually providing good information on news on a lot of cyber attack or other news into the space. The real problem, I think, and the real value that somebody like me can offer is actually to see the big picture from the experience in security operation. And I do think there are some topics that get more traction than the others. I don't know what's the reason for that, because you see the same with the CVE and vulnerability. Certain vulnerability get more traction than others that potentially are more dangerous, especially because they are more prone to be chained during the attack. What I notice is a trend on not giving too much space to this kind of news when they touch some vendors too. I don't know if it's just an algorithm situation or if it's a real kind of problem. What I notice is, for example, that recently there was news about VDR, and it is a tricky space for VDR right now because they are in a big change between kernel mode after the CrowdStrike incident to user space mode. And if you notice around, there are not many news technical wise on how they will achieve that integration. They did a committee of vendors, but not much information got out. And I think this one is going to be a problem, especially in terms of openness on how it's structured. But the recent news on ransomware highlight how a DR killer that is specifically designed as a piece of software to bypass ADR is actually working really well. So it's strange to see how they don't connect the dots between all these news and how it doesn't get mainstream traction when actually should be an open discussion with a lot of security operation experienced professional. So right now, I'm a bit concerned that this news is not taking space, and there was even a rumor that some group was contacting directly CrowdStrike about the IOC. I don't know how much is a rumor. I saw some post around, but in any case, it doesn't change that in a critical moment where a security control that many overrated as a panacea for security is changing so profoundly into the architecture of the kernel or now integrate, I think we should know more. We should get more info about it. I think the idea of a committee is okay, but there are a lot of open source solutions that should be aware of how this change is made, especially Blue Team. This one is something that even digging more than I could in technical space, I didn't find any info. I mean, if it's user space, how do you avoid an attacker to shut it? What are the security control around it? How will be implemented in the Linux space? Because honestly, it's not just Windows. And a lot of news were only about Windows. So what is going on right now in that ADR space? Another issue is that I suppose soon we will get all these AI protocol integrated into the kernel. So if we are moving to an agentic design in terms of how the workload get executed and how application will work in a sort of peer-to-peer agentic channel, the client will need those protocols. If you check on my slide share, I did the research on the security of those protocols, and most are subject to man-in-the-middle authentication problem, missed client handshake to recognize which endpoint is calling, and it's really immature in terms also of security control, like how an IDS can actually see that traffic and interact with that, how security control will work on it. So at the time that we get a kernel integration, a lower level of those protocols, what is going to happen? Is that going to be integrated also in IoT for telemetry? Because most of IoT probably need that, but many IoT, especially industrial IoT, are still missing IoT gateway. So as you see, if you combine and you see at the technical in the technical space of cybersecurity, all this information are in there. So what is going on kernel delivery? I mean, we can know what FreeBSD is doing. We know a bit of Linux. We know absolutely nothing of the integration of these protocols into Windows or in Mac. So now, is going to be an integration at kernel level, or is going to be a plugin straight into the browser, into a DOM space? That's another good question, because at the end of the day, you are having a lot of web application. Do we risk WebAssembly to be used for that as extension with the security problem that we have? For example, you take a Rust programming language, when it's compiled into WebAssembly, I apologize, it's going to lose all that memory protection that is actually offering. So how is going to be? Not for sure an API integration, because if it's going to be an API, it will lose the capabilities of the protocol itself, like A2A. Now look into my slide share, and what I found, there is a nice matrix with all protocols and what is going wrong with that. But think also on how connect all these dots. Are we going to get that on the phone too? Yeah, definitely, because the phone can't process in terms heavily on local. So for sure we need an integration of these protocols, but right now we are using an integration where you have an LLM with an API call to your client, some application on mobile that actually integrate the API, and that's it. But what is going to happen, for example, on all this conversation with Chrome that gets sold probably to some AI company, or what will be the business model? Because at the end of the day, it's all about business model too. So how security will integrate into that? I see, and I'm also surprised to review that some of the intelligent projects that come out, for example, SquareX from Vivek Ramachandran, that point to protect the browser, is not getting the traction on the mainstream as well as I expected. Some of the phishing is thought to be resolved on the mail server side, but it's not going to happen. It's on the client side, on the browser. And all these Magento problem, for example, Magikarp attack and whatever else, is all done. We keep going on with Magikarp compromise, and it's years and years, and nobody talk much about it. But is a style of compromise that is having a lot of success Now, what do we expect in the next month to go? Right now, we do have only Firefox. Chrome, we don't know if it will be solved. There are some enterprise solution because at the end of the day, Edge is an implementation of Chrome and is having some sandboxing. But why sandboxing is not becoming so popular like it should? And why we have so many difficulties on implement DNS security in a proper manner? Why is so expensive as well in terms of commercial on that? I see solutioning that are extremely easy to be extremely expensive too, with the difficulties that you need internal DNS and public DNS resolution protection. We do see the DDoS space, how it's moving fast. Even CDN are starting to struggle. And all these news, if you connect with each other, are not good. The criminal service are probably starting to share more and more and more, and they are becoming more and more and more managed service in terms of platforms, and they implement AI in an aggressive manner. So why main outlet in terms of news and whatever don't connect the dots, and why is becoming only a bot? The amount of technical documentation is reducing over and over. You see also in spaces like hypervisor protection, NSXT alike, and other solution, you don't have much competition. It's not getting traction, but they are the key point used and leveraged for ransomware. So why, considering that most of the companies are still in infrastructure as a service, you do have a lot of hybrid cloud solution that implement anyway some sort of remote computing on-prem. Why hypervisor that is so critical doesn't get much of a traction? Why everybody struggles so much? And what is happening if it's an hypervisor that is not VMware? The amount of conversation into budget is amazing because and amuse me because actually is missing the key point. There are too many security solutions that right now are built pay as you go. That create confusion into budgets. IT change completely the capex and opex conversation. Right now, there is no order as it used to be anymore. You have a lot of security product into IT license, and the security budget is becoming just a sub budget, and the division between the two is not clear. Right now, a lot of attention is on how to automate and AI vulnerability management. I speak with a lot of pen testers that are frustrated because they don't feel like their job is seen as important as it is. The training for security professionals are not up to date at all, and they are hammering over and over with the same stuff. We are in an era of cloud. Everybody should be doing API, REST API hacking. Also because most of the products out there are becoming lasagna product because the startup failed. They integrate just as a module and they duct tape talking by API. So it's becoming really easy to find vulnerabilities on API space. And now that everybody shout that just a piece of LLM will work instead of in an agentic design solution, it's a big issue. You need to understand how difficult is becoming the cybersecurity space. And in IoT and in OT in general, in OT security is even worse because Industry 4.0 kind of program force everybody to review their connectivity that needed to be pushed towards cloud for image recognition. And you do have a lot of quality controls that are running like that through integration with cloud services. If you attack those connectivity, those connections more than everything, it's starting to become really difficult to prove it. I mean, Purdue model and a lot of conversation on S4 forum is showing how there is no solution architecture-wise that fit everybody. Each business based on their type of business, they could need a different design. We had a lot of talk about SD-WAN, but the maturity of SD-WAN is not there. Right now, you have Typhoon, Vault, kind of attacks and entire threat intel moving into that direction of compromising a telco, and they own all MPLS leased infrastructure plus the telco itself. Now look at all these SD-WAN controllers. Most are leased in cloud. We see all news about that, and nobody talk about the SD-WAN controllers. Which risk you are having about that? But even if you go and zoom in into protocols, check BGP, how is still a problem. Now, how we tackle, because in security you talk a lot about the problem, but you need also to propose solution. But there are a lot of professional and small startups that propose solution, but they don't get traction because it's not the mainstream of a VC investment. R&D in cybersecurity for the last 10 years is going really bad. And it's difficult for people that want to work in R&D to do nothing more than just certify product because it's what the product manager want. Get a product that is certified, but is that certification going to introduce security or not? And some of these certification lack a lot because it's becoming more a compliance, again, another compliance exercise, not a real one. And you see also in PCI space how the terminal, the POS, got tested and how strong was the regulation on that, and how is happening over and over to find a problem with smartwatches payment. Now, I'm not ranting, and I'm just trying to give a different opinion, a different point of view on what is going on, and how difficult it is becoming to really work in terms of prioritizing technology investment, define budgets, get budget prioritized. And insurance are working with managed service, and they are tying up business commercial relationship. That means that sometimes you are not anymore free to choose, because if you get a certain provider, you get a certain discount. That's not easy at all. Plus, the technical topic is becoming really difficult to be discussed because there are too many layers and is getting complicated. Instead of them prioritize, see API gateway, check Kong, how easy it should be, but see that, for example, public and private mixed routing is available still only in APGE, when actually is everybody need in an hybrid cloud. FIDO last vulnerability, it was a big one. We discussed about FIDO for ages, and it was kind of easy. So that's make you think about the big picture. Now, what's next? I can talk only for myself. I do forecast that we need to keep updating our skills, and I'm working heavily into that. I work in RAG, vector database, and other topics. I'm trying to become a bit more proficient in Rust because I think everybody is following the same topic over and over and over. And if you look at security papers on LLM, they never discuss the entire pipeline. You get ATL attacks, not not just LLM prompt injection. You have an entire data pipeline to secure, but everybody focus just on one component of it. Is the pen testing of LLM something that is not going to be automated? Would it make more sense to see all pieces of this complicated picture? When you look into RAG, you see how many are moving away from vector database and moving more into Cortex, like Snowflake Cortex. How the pipeline anyway want to have a one layer more with a bucket where they put all data before to be converted and embedded. Those are not easy topics, but it's also difficult to find people discussing about it. So why, for a professional that anyways is in the field for a while, doesn't see any resource, even finding the courses? I found Zero to Mastery to be an excellent source of information, but is not famous like other platform, or at least is not famous in security. The training of security is hammering on LLM only. But let's not forget that Vision is a new field. And if we struggle with this field, soon when quantum is coming, we will struggle even more. So if you are thinking about your personal investment, think on the long run, because this stuff need a lot of time, and it's really difficult to combine it with a job, because even at work you can find that most of these projects get outsourced. You have specialistic companies doing that and delivering those projects. And security is not always a driver of those. Let's see the last vulnerability that we saw on Copilot. How much traction got? Was almost nowhere in the newspaper. Everybody almost developed that. What is going on? Are we really slave of an algorithm that we don't find any more news in a field that was supposed to be underground? Most of the paper documentation, it was a read documentation. You find so many technology without documentation. Is all due to agile? No, it's not. It's becoming a problem where the only things that you can get is the API schema, nothing more. And you find product with model that don't get integrated at kernel level. Everything is in user space and a lot of API. So what I think to do with the channel is something that it was a surprise. I would never thought to reach 2,000 and more users. So fair play to everybody that subscribed. Thanks a million. It made my day. But I always try to give some content that is different from the mainstream. And right now, I tried to do digest with news and didn't work. It didn't work because I think the differentiator is not enough. I did spent a lot of time creating a format, trying to make a monthly that was showing something that could be useful as a recap, as a technical recap. Because at the end, everybody don't want to be too technical, but whoever you don't find documentation and all these technical requirement is there. And in any case, if you want to protect something, you need to know under the bonnet what is in there. And I do invest daily on understanding the technology before to be capable to protect it, or at least have my own thinking about it. Like I did with cloud, like I did with SDN when it came out. Not protect the southbound interface was something new to have that type of level of automation in networks, have dummy hardware without operating system, just by API risking injection into that. SD1 now just taking all MPLS traffic up to the MZ and shooting, and not always with layer 7, because what was supposed to be an application routing became just a router because it's easy to just send it over with a MPLS with a shared controller in cloud. One day, if a vault kind of compromise to telco extend to the controller, it will be really difficult because it will be so extended. And don't forget that the number of vendor in that space is really limited. You can count those in just one end. That will mean that 0 day in that space will be really valuable. All conversation about 0 day, it's another one. A platform like Zerodium and other didn't get any more traction, or we didn't see much of a change into the prices as well. So something is strange too. The it's going to be a challenge every day, but with a channel, I want to offer a value, the value of somebody that is trying to connect the dots across all these conversations. So I will try to do a sort of not monthly, but based on the pattern that I see and the attacker that I see, following the Mitra attack updates as well also in technique, trying to do some deep dives on that. I don't want to cross the threat intel because I think there are professionals that really dedicate their entire life to threat intel. It's really a complex ecosystem, and it's not. I'm more a consumer of threat feeds than actually a creator of threat feeds. That's because at the end, my value is understanding how each layer connect to each other. What's the weak link on that? So I want to change the format of a digest, try to not have a scheduled appointment, also to manage my personal studies. I need time and I work. So I need to work smarter on keeping delivering something on this channel that is unique. But I need also to focus on these patterns, comment various news, how they are correlated, how the Mitra attack techniques are changing. There are so many Mitra attacks right now. That is another level of complexity that we made because we have a A6i, we have the cloud Mitra attack, but the defend we have only one, and it's not map all around in the same way. So what is going on there too? A lot of LLM attacks conversation. Entire Cloud Security Alliance was paper on LLM about data pipeline. Platform like ClickHouse, Snowflake's Cortex, they are entire pipelines, more dedicated to a topic, more dedicated to a function, more integrated. Check Arbeit, the connectors. What's happening if you take a connector? What I wasn't expecting as well is Kafka became a transport bus standard effector, but actually there is no much in there right now in data pipeline. Like before, you use more the SaaS platform as a connector, but they will be based on a transport bus and Kafka anyway. But you don't have anymore the controls on the encryption of the topics like you used to, and protect those type of database. It's not easy, especially because there are data lakes. The complexity on maintaining all these SIEM source solution that are Cortex based, it's complex, and everybody is just giving up. It just try to take the easier pre-meal. And to confirm that, see Splunk came out with the first machine learning SDK, did the SaaS service, but at the end, probably business reason, price or whatever. But you see how much traction right now Sentinel is having. But Sentinel is just coming out with the data lake. So cross search is not easy. There is a lot to see into the type of product that are coming out. Also, SASE, we see Netspoke flying. There is still Zscaler, but how we are integrating with other remote access session products dedicated, for example, for industrial. How they do integrate with SD-WAN. Everybody does have an integration, but is that integration going to work for everybody? That is where an architect should work on trying to keep it simple. That is one of the principles. I really appreciate that you listen to this live. Nobody join, and it will be a nice video where I spent way less time because I don't have editing to be done. And time to time, I will try to keep up with this live session because they looks really easy to be done. And leave your comment. Follow me on SlideShare, where I actually publish any PDF that I'm proposing about, for example, AI protocols and other stuff. I'm trying to share everything I learn. But if you are a new professional, try to think in a new way. Don't think in just the old way. It's going really fast. Most of what we are witnessing is something that we would have been expecting in 15 years. So you need to have an understanding that banking, for example, had quants forever, and quants are moving into that topic with a huge amount of skills. It's really easy to not be up for the game. So don't focus only on the security topic. Before, you need to know the technology. That is the suggestion that I'm adopting about my own career. And CISO-wise, the amount of solution are integrating over and over and over with the same vendor. It's really difficult license-wise to not be tangled in these bundles. It's really difficult to get budget at the board. I do have experience in that, managing departments. It's difficult to motivate people. It's crazy that a role like the SASE is becoming a role of an average of 2 years and as a lifetime. It's not. It's a continuous effort, and it's really suffering a lot of ageism as well. So for whoever is in the same situation, try to keep up, but don't think that it's about you. It's about everybody, and it's not about a country. It's about each country. What saved me is to try to connect the dots, having always an independent mindset, and trying to link security architecture, CISO, threats, because at the end we are here to protect. See how DLP is behind. DLP should be a strategy and need so many layers that need to be integrated. The only integration that is offered is sometimes at the SASE level or an endpoint level. That's not the full strategy. What about the database? It's not only about Office 365 stuff. So keep your independent thinking and trying to focus on prioritizing. And I think we will find a situation where all these technologies will converge in somehow because the complexity is high and the standards are becoming too weak. See all these AI protocols weakness. So at a certain stage, they will need other technologies to secure it. They will need more integration. And I hope will not become a field with four vendors because that will be another big problem. Because if Chrome got sold, the enterprise solution is bound to a Copilot, is becoming all a black box. Also, understanding what is happening behind and see if something passes under the radar. It's not easy at all. So, keep it up, keep the passion. It's 24 years that I do this job and I love any bit. Sometimes certain conversations are difficult, but stay strong and keep going because the passion is what you should never miss. If you are thinking to get into cybersecurity, the only things that save you is not which project you follow, is which passion you have. Keep it up because that is the only real message that I can give. And keep following because I will try to get original content with pattern analysis, with more AI, trying to use what I'm studying. I'm not showing off to be an expert in these fields. It's so new that everybody is at the same level, and some could come from other main root fields like data science and have more knowledge on that. So be humble is always my target. Keep following and thanks a million. 2000 follower is something that I wasn't expecting, and it's a really joy. And thanks.